has a bad reputation for sensor rattle. It's even got to the point where we don't even recommend it anymore because of it. Now the good news is that apparently Logitech have fixed it in the latest batch. The problem is that you might not get the new batch. So until the stores get all the new stock in, you might still get a mouse with sensor rattle. Now the other mouse known to have some sensor rattle problems is a Rocket Cone Military. Have a listen. It's pretty bad in there. In fact, even the Rocket Cone Pure Laser has the issue, but it's not as bad in this one. Just a very slight rattle, but it's now been pointed out to me that even the Zowie EC2A has sensor rattle. Have a listen. Hear that? It's ever so slight, but it is rattling. So in this video I'm going to go through about 15 mice. I'm going to test them all for sensor rattle and just see how widespread this problem actually is. Cooler Master Alcohol. I'm going to have to hold in buttons on this one because they do rattle. I can still feel something rattling around in there, and you can probably hear it too. It's a lower pitched rattle, but it's definitely there. Next, let's test the Rocket Cairo. I'm going to take the size off to make sure there's nothing rattling on those. Absolutely no rattle on this mouse. Razor Mamba Tournament Edition. Clearly a rattle. Let's hold the buttons in now to make sure it's not those. Sounds good, so it's just the buttons that are rattling on this. Otherwise, the Razor Mamba Tournament has no sensor rattle. SteelSeries Rival. This might be an indication of the Rival 300 as well, but I'm not sure. If you have a Rival 300, please give it a test and let me know in the comments. So yes, there's a very quiet rattle on this one. Now the Rival 100. No rattle on that one at all. Now for the Razer Death Adder Chroma. I can hear a rattle, so I'm going to have to hold in the buttons. No rattle on the Death Adder either. My Onyx Castor. Clearly a rattle on that one. Let's hold in the buttons. Even with the buttons held in, it sounds like something down here is rattling, so I'm going to assume it's a sensor as well. Now for the Rocket Nith. Okay, clearly a rattle, but my paddle is actually loose, so let's hold that down. I can still hear it rattling, so I'm going to try to hold all the buttons in. Okay, so there's no sensor rattle on that one, it was just the buttons. It's a modular design, so that's expected. Razer Abyssus 2014. No rattle on that one. So good job Razer, that's all the mice I own by you that don't have sensor rattle. One of my personal favourites, the Rapoo V300. Sounds good when you tap it, feels solid, but when you shake it, lots of rattles, so let's just hold in all the buttons. So that's quite bad, in fact one of the loudest. For all the months that I use this mouse, and even still when I use it, I've never heard that rattle. It's only when I actually picked it up and shook it that I heard it. So that's a shame, but it's not going to stop me using it. I still love this mouse. Corsair Guitar. I can hear something rattling, I'm just going to have to hold in all the buttons. No rattle on that one either. Cooler Master Zorned 2. No rattle on that one. And lastly, the Logitech G302. I've been recommending this one instead of the G303 because I didn't like the sensor rattle on the G303. So let's shake it. Here's something rattling, let's hold the buttons in. I'll try to get the DPI switch as well. It sounds like there's a rattle in this one too. Which is funny because I used it for a solid 9 months and didn't notice it. It's nowhere near as bad as the G303 that I had. I actually had to return the G303 on warranty. And that's the final point on this. Yes, a lot of the mice do have sensor rattle, but generally, unless it's really loud, you probably won't notice it, and it's probably not going to bother your game. Some people did report that the G303 was skipping or jolting around. That's when it becomes a problem. But I've used all these mice a fair bit, and I haven't had a problem with the sensor skipping out on me. They've all performed quite well. And as I said, the Rapoo V300 is actually one of my favourite mice. I love using that thing. And yet, it's got one of the loudest rattles I've ever heard. So don't let this deter you from actually buying mice. A lot of these are still solid and really good fun to use. They're great mice. The reason I'm doing this video, not only for your awareness, but I want the conversation started because the fact that so many of these mice have the rattle inside like that means it's not just a build quality issue, it's actually a design flaw. Whatever these companies are doing, they don't seem to be securing the sensor properly or something. So share this video around, get people talking, and hopefully we can get the mouse companies listening too, because I'd actually like this fixed. So anyway, most of these mice are still really good, I still recommend them. But just know some of them do have a light sensor rattle, which won't affect your game, but may annoy you if you do shake it around. Honestly, I move the mouse quickly a lot, and I haven't noticed it. It's only when I put it up to my ear, or really listen for it, that I notice it. Except in mice like the G303 and Comb Pure Military. 8 out of the 17 mice that I own, 9 out of 18 if you include the E-Blue Cobra, means that this is something that they need to be aware of in the industry. And that's part of why I wanted to start this channel too. It's not just about critiquing mice, it's about helping the industry improve as well and pointing out the flaws and telling them what we need in a mouse so they can give us better products. So any mouse companies out there, feel free to contact me privately. I'm more than happy to offer suggestions. Community, please keep on telling me all the things that you find and want. I'm gathering all that information so that I can pass it on at a later day. While on that note, please subscribe, like the video and leave a comment. It all helps it grow and gets the channel bigger, which means that it'll be more likely that I'll be able to pass on the information to the mouse companies. Alright, hope that helps. Let the conversations begin. As many of you will know, the Logitech G303 has a bad reputation for sensor rattle. It's even got to the point where we don't even recommend it anymore because of it. Now the good news is that apparently Logitech have fixed it in the latest batch. The problem is that you might not get the new batch. So until the stores get all the new stock in, you might still get a mouse with sensor rattle. Now the other mouse known to have some sensor rattle problems is a Rocket Cone Military. Have a listen. It's pretty bad in there. In fact, even the Rocket Cone Pure Laser has the issue, but it's not as bad in this one. Just a very slight